All right. Hey there, my name is Graham, and as the title of this video suggests, I am a father of five, and I feel like I'm failing in life. There's a lot of things that I'm thankful for, and I do think I'm succeeding in, but I think a lot of people can feel like they're failing in certain things, and I certainly feel that way today. Today is August the 9th, 2025. And so this video specifically, I'm going to share why I'm making the video. I've got a few different reasons. I'm then going to talk about the areas that I actually think I'm failing in. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about my plan and how to change and what the future holds. So with that, let's begin. So why am I posting this video? First and foremost, and to put it bluntly, I honestly think I'm called to do this. I feel like I've got a God-given drive within inside of me that knows that I need to put this video out there because number one, I think it's going to help me. It's going to be fire underneath my butt to change my circumstances, and I can look back on this video and be proud of where I've come from. But really, more importantly, what's the point of your life? What's the point of sharing your story? It's to help others. And I know I'm not the only dad out there who feels this way. I'm hoping that by putting this video out there on the internet, other dads who feel the same way can watch this and be encouraged, and hopefully it can help someone. So while I do feel like this is, a God-given mission or drive within inside of me, I have withheld on doing this for so long. And I've made so many excuses as to why I shouldn't make this video. And, I think it includes fear. If I'm being honest, I think it includes just being lazy. And then last but not least, I keep telling myself that I have to get better first before I can make a video like this. Like, I have to look perfect, in a sense. I've got to get all my baggage together before I could ever make a video like this. And then I just had this realization that that's completely wrong. Most people don't want to look at perfection. What most people are wanting in today's culture, in my opinion, is they just want authenticity. They want to know that you're being completely honest with them. So I don't think people want to see perfection. I think people want to see someone who's just being fully authentic. And I think they're okay with seeing the pursuit of perfection. That's certainly what I want to do. But I know I'm never going to be perfect. So anyways, I'm done waiting to do this video, and I'm finally getting started with it. So in a sense, I'm kind of just punching fear in the face. I'm putting all of my thoughts, my worries, my insecurities, feelings of doubt, just out here in the open, on the internet, for other people to look at, watch. So while my most important goal in making this video is to potentially help someone else in a similar situation, I will honestly be okay if no one ever watches this video. I want this video to be posted and any future videos to be posted as some sort of accountability system for myself to kick me into gear, to work hard, to change my life, to stop making excuses, and to document the life that I'm proud of living. Because there are some things I'm proud of right now, but a lot of it I'm not proud of. And so if all this ever serves is just a video journal of how I've changed my life, I'm happy with that. And if you see me looking down, I'm the type of person, I gotta write out my thoughts, and so I want to be looking at this a little bit. So let's get into where I think I'm failing. Number one, as I'm sure a lot of people feel this way, I feel like I have just completely dropped the ball when it comes to my finances. So what I'm about to share, I am completely embarrassed by, especially when I compare it to my friends who I know are just crushing it. I am terribly embarrassed by this. So that said, I'm putting this out there because I know it's going to change and I know I'm going to get better. So as of today, August the 9th, 2025, I have $12,000 in credit card debt. I have a $10,000 car loan. We have no money in retirement. And we have about $6,000 in the bank. And honestly, that stuff I'm embarrassed about, but this last point I'm probably most embarrassed about. And it is, I live in my in-laws house. So we don't even have our own home. And for some reason that eats at me more than anything else. I don't really have anything else to say about that. I love my in-laws. I have a great relationship with them. But most people don't want to live with their in-laws, including myself. I could talk for hours about how I think I'm feeling with finances, but I think those points summarize it the most. And I'm pretty embarrassed at where I'm at. What's tough is about 2 years ago, I actually had about $50,000 saved up in the bank, no debt. We were moving out of my in-laws' house, and I feel like I've just completely 180'd. And it's tough. Side note, I am starting to realize that you can look online and there are a million videos on why credit cards are amazing, all the value they can give, all the points, all this stuff. I think I am coming to the realization that I personally cannot handle credit cards. I'm a very, despite what this video may sound like in terms of I feel like I'm failing, I'm a pretty positive person. I try to look at the world with a glass half full mentality, and I'm very entrepreneurial, and I got big visions and big ideas. And that personality I do not think meshes well with credit cards, because I'm just like, yeah, let's pay for it. It's going to work out. That's the mentality I have. I think credit cards are not good for me. And I think they're central to why I feel like I'm failing so much when it comes to finances. So how did I get here in terms of our finances? If we had $50,000 in the bank, no debt, why are we now mid-20s in debt with no retirement? How did we get here? How did I get here is the proper pronoun. So right now I'm sitting in mess, first and foremost, but I'm sitting in a 2016 43-foot fifth wheel trailer, which I'm going to be talking a lot more about on this channel. I definitely got roped into the nomadic lifestyle, or dreams of the nomadic lifestyle, and I have placed all my eggs in this basket, to put it simply. I've invested all of our family's finances into this, which, talk to any financial person, makes absolutely zero sense, and I understand why they say that now, because this is a completely depreciating asset. But I'm betting that this thing can give our family flexibility and help us figure out where we want to lay roots and help us go see some family members. And while I'm completely self-conscious about it and it has taken me forever to renovate it, there are some things that I've done that I'm very proud of. And anyways, we're talking about finances here. I've spent so much money on this thing, way more than I could have ever thought I would spend, and it has been a complete money pit right now. But unfortunately, it's not finished, and so really my only option is to continue to spend a little bit more money to get it finished, to provide the goal of it, and that is a place to live and a tool to go explore where we want to raise our family. Okay, and then last but not least, how did I get in this position in terms of finances? I have learned that kids are very expensive, and I'm not trying to just use that as an excuse to poor management of our funds, but my wife and I, before we had kids, we could live, I kid you not, we could live like on $2,500 a month just because we're cheap. But the world has just gotten so much more expensive, but we have 5 kids. They're all the same age, and I'm going to talk about that later, but it has been a storm in terms of paying for it all. And budgets are important, but when you have 5 kids at one time, you do kind of go through a season where you just forget about the budget and you say, yeah, we need to buy 5 bottles, let's just do it. Or we need to buy 1,000 diapers this month, let's go for it. Our babies were born 2 years ago, and I have just completely really stopped budgeting because it's hard to budget for something that you don't know how to navigate well. that's an excuse, and I think it's a valid excuse, but I want to be done with that excuse, and I want to change my life. A couple more points I want to make about just finances in general. While we're in a pretty bad financial storm, I don't have a normal job. All that to say, right now my income is about $6,000 to $7,000 a month, which isn't amazing, but I wouldn't say it's terrible either. So I'm really thankful for that. And then number two, I think what's really causing the sense of failure is just comparison. And they say comparison is the thief of joy, and I've come to realize that. I'm 31. I look at all my friends, not all my friends, but I look at a lot of my friends, and they own homes. Some of them have bought their second home. They have amazing jobs, and I'm just like, what the heck am I doing with my life? We don't have like any money now. The thought of even buying a home just seems impossible. I just feel so behind compared to my friends. And I'm just saying that just to put it out there. I don't have a solution to that right now. But I think that's a big reason why I feel like I'm failing, specifically when it comes to finances. Next area where I feel like I'm failing is fitness. And, I'm going to try to keep this one short and sweet. I am not of the belief that when you're a dad, you don't need to have a six pack and 7% body fat, whatever it is. I'm not trying to run the fastest marathon, but I will say I want to be healthy for my family. That is what's the priority to me. And I think just a good baseline of health is you should be able to go on a run. You should be able to lift up your kids and throw them in the air. And you don't have to, I don't believe you should be just a complete, I think it's important to eat healthy, but I think you should have fun. I think you should have ice cream, dessert with your family. All that to say, I got injured about 7 months ago while on a run, and I don't know what I did to my knee, but I couldn't walk for like 4 days. And after that, I literally just stopped working out. I haven't worked out since until a couple days ago. Fitness is one of those things where it's so easy to make the excuse as to why you don't need to do it. Over the past few months, I've just said, you know what, I don't need to go run right now. I don't need to exercise because there's so many other things that I need to do. But the reality is, when you're not healthy, it's so hard to do the other areas of your life well. And I've seen that firsthand. When I don't exercise, I'm more depressed. When I don't exercise, it's hard for me to focus, to have good energy. And luckily, I don't really think I've had a lot of negative effects by not working out for 7 months. I haven't gotten fat, but I've definitely gotten a little chubby. But the thing that I've recognized is I think I'm on that like first start of that really slippery slope to where your fitness and your health just goes downhill. And I think that's what the average American does today is they just stop. 20 years goes by, they're fat, they're unhealthy, they're on meds, and most people I feel like today just like don't even, I don't know, get to see their grandkids because they end up dying of a heart attack. I did not expect to say that in this video. All to say, I know that I have not prioritized my health over the past 7 months, and I want to change that. So yeah, I'm failing there, but I'm going to get better. The third area where I know I'm failing is focus. And you know what? I can show you what's causing this failure. It's this thing right here. This thing, I've come to just hate it. I don't know about you who's watching this video, but I'm addicted to this thing, and I'm okay with admitting that. I have taken breaks from my iPhone where I've used a flip phone. And whenever I come back to this, I cannot control how much I use it. And what's interesting is like I don't scroll on TikTok. I don't really do a lot of the standard stuff, but I'm always like checking email, doing work stuff, getting on YouTube. I waste so much time And this has just completely destroyed my ability to just sit there and focus. And it honestly, it's making me sick to my stomach when I think about it. I try to just sit down and do work, and I feel like I can get 20 minutes in before I feel like I need to go check something else on my computer. And I know that it stems from this. And then just also practically speaking, I'll be sitting with my kids who, next to my wife are the most beautiful thing in my life and should demand all of my attention. Yet for some reason, while they're sitting in my lap, I have this urge in me to reach into my pocket, grab my phone, and open up Instagram. And I think there are situations where these phones are good, but for the most part, I'm looking at my life internally, and I'm like, I think this thing is a net negative impact on my life, and I want it out of my life. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's really hurting my ability to focus. Work-wise, I can't seem to get a task done efficiently anymore, and that's not good. When you're self-employed, your focus is huge, and your ability to accomplish a task and provide value to the marketplace is massive. And I do that, but I do it much slower than I need to, and I need to regain my focus. So that's work-wise, and then I think just familial-wise, I'm so ashamed and embarrassed to say how much time I spend on this thing versus playing with my kids or talking to my wife, giving her eye contact. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, I think my average screen time right now is about 3 hours a day, which I'm embarrassed by, but I bet you I wouldn't be surprised if that is the standard for the average person. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more. And I'm going to do the math. 3 times 365 divided by 24. Yikes. If you spend 3 hours a day on your phone in a year, you'll have spent 45 days on your phone. And you do that for 10 years, you'll have spent 456 days on your phone. I mean, that's just crazy. So I know that this is an issue. I know that focus is an issue. I'm failing there, and I'm ready to change. One thing that I've noticed specifically about my phone and just social media in general, recently I'm super guilty of just following accounts that actually provide no true value in my life. Even I feel like we can listen to something like a podcast and we think we're being super productive or we're enriching our mind. We're understanding the world's current events, and that's important. But I've started to notice that every time, whether it's looking on Instagram, listening to a podcast, watching a video on YouTube about some current event, I don't know about you, but it leaves me mad. It leaves me angry, almost sick to my stomach. And I've started to realize that this thing and what it does, it shifts my focus it shifts my focus looking towards these problems of the world that, I mean, some of them, they're legitimate problems. I'm not negating that. But a lot of these problems, I have no control over. I might have a little tiny part to play, but for the most part, there's nothing I can do. And it shifts my focus towards that when right now in my current stage of life, when I feel like I'm failing in so many areas, my focus needs to be what is within the four walls of my house and my family. And so if this thing is constantly pulling me in the direction of things that just honestly don't matter and don't affect my day to day, I need to get rid of it. And I need to reprioritize really what's important to my family. Oh, point number 4 in the area where I think I'm failing. This is probably the most important one. No, it's not. It isn't probably the most important one. It is the most important one, and that is my faith. I would call myself a Christian, but I think I am failing miserably at being a Christian right now. So I look at, what are the markers of being a Christian? I would say it's reading the Word, but also like loving the Word. It's being so in love with God and how He's changed your life that you can't help but share your testimony with other people. And then I would say number three, it's not that you don't, it's not that you never sin, but it is you do have greater control over habitual sin. And sadly, I would say none of those are true in my life right now. I don't think I've consistently read my Bible for over a year now. I don't really share my faith with strangers. Even with family members who aren't Christians, I don't talk about it a lot. And these are the people I'm supposed to care about the most. And I just look at that and I'm like, I am so hypocritical there. And I know I'm failing there. And last but not least, I have some really terrible, just habitual sin in my life. And I'm tired of hiding it. And I'm going to talk about it more here in a few minutes. Yeah. But, and it's a big but, it's a big but, gosh. But I do not want to stay this way. I know that this is an issue, and I think it's good that I know that's an issue, and I want to change. I do firmly believe that God exists. I do believe that Jesus Christ exists. I believe that Jesus Christ was fully God and fully man. He came to this world. He died on a cross. He rose again so that our sins could be forgiven and we could be in communion with our Lord. And if you're watching this and you're not a Christian, some of that might have just sounded completely bonkers, and that's okay. The goal of this video isn't to convert you to Christianity right off the bat, but you have to understand my worldview to understand this video fully. And anyways, I've gotten to a point in my life where I look at this world, and there is just so much detail in it and how it works that my mind can no longer grasp that this world is random. The only way that I can process it and understand it is to know that there is a creator whose hand was at work in creating all of this. So I believe that God exists. And I also look at, well, I haven't read my Bible in a while. I have read it before. And there's so many prophecies from, a couple thousand years before Jesus Christ that came to fruition and came to be true with Jesus. And then you look at the people who were within Jesus's inner circle and how they were murdered and tortured because of what they believed in, and they refused to denounce their beliefs, and just how Christianity exploded. I can't deny that Jesus Christ didn't exist. So I fully believe he existed. So the season I'm going in right now, what I'm trying to say is I don't think I'm in a season of doubt. But I'm just in this weird season of apathy where my faith just doesn't seem important to me right now. And I've lost focus on it. And I want to change that. Say you had a best friend growing up, yet you just don't see them anymore. And you're like, what happened? Why did we get so distant? That's what I feel like right now with my relationship with God. And my mom always used to say, if you're feeling distant from God, it's probably not him that walked away. And I think my mom, her words are true to that. So now I'm going to open up with probably the piece of information that I'm most embarrassed to put out on the internet. But again, I hope it helps someone. And I hope it helps you if you're watching this. I know exactly why I feel distant from God, but I've refused to change. And that reason is I am struggling terribly right now with pornography. And I hate it. I'm extremely embarrassed by it. I'm ashamed by it. It's horrible. If anyone has gone through a pornography addiction and tried to quit, you'll understand how I feel. I don't wake up and say, I want to look at porn today. In fact, almost every day I say, Lord, please help me not look at porn. And it doesn't seem to change. I've never done hardcore drugs, but I feel like it's a similar experience to that of just you desire not to do it, yet you keep on sinning and you keep going back to it. So yeah, I'm addicted to pornography and I hate it. If I'm being completely honest too, I have had seasons in my life where I've had victory over pornography, where I've won battles, you could say. But if I'm being completely transparent, I think that I have been addicted to pornography since I was 10 years old, which is when I was first exposed to it. And I'm 31 now. So that means for the majority of my life, I have struggled with the sin. And worse than that, I have been married for over 8 years. So I have been addicted to pornography for my entire marriage, which is terrible. I mean, I've committed adultery on my wife in every sense of like, that is what pornography is. And there have been moments where I've shared with my wife that I'm going through this. But ever since our kids have been born, it hasn't been brought up and I've been hiding it. I actually have feelings of sickness and anxiety when I think about just how long I've let this sin stay in my life, but I mean, just even more importantly, in my marriage. And I know that I have caused so much damage in my marriage because of it. And I feel like I missed out on some really amazing times in our marriage in the early years because of this addiction. And I hate it. And I'll never get those years back. And that kills me. Now that I'm a parent, I also just think about, if I let this sin stay in my life, if I keep looking at porn, what would happen if I was looking at it and one of my kids walked in? That would be an image that they would never be able to get out of their heads, whether it's the actual pornography itself or just seeing their dad look at it. It would be a major, just crack in their love for me. And then I would be ashamed the rest of my life. And I don't want that. That sounds horrible to me. So I know pornography is terrible. I know that it's not good for me. I know that it's honestly destroying so many things in my life, not just my faith, but it's probably one of the root reasons why I feel like I'm failing in so many other areas as well. So I want to get rid of it. So how do I do that though? If I know that it's bad, but I keep messing up. And if you read scripture, it consistently says you defeat sin by confessing it and then changing what your heart desires through the power of the Holy Spirit. So I'm going to start confessing this, and obviously I'm putting it on the internet, but this sin has been hidden in my life for way too long. So first and foremost, I have to tell my wife. And she knows I've struggled with this before, but it has definitely been hidden again for a couple years. So literally tonight, I'm going to tell her everything. And I don't look forward to it, and it's going to break her heart. And I know it's going to cause damage, but I also know that if I ignore this and let this continue, the damage from ignoring it will be so much worse. It'll literally kill my soul. And I would rather go through the hurt of tonight and sharing this information than go through that. And I pray that it doesn't destroy our marriage. And I have an amazing wife, and I know it won't, which I know I abuse that too. I want to be better for her. So I'm going to tell my wife. I've actually already told a couple guys in my life about everything, and I've asked them to hold me accountable. And then I'm gonna start confessing it more to God, because I feel like I mess up and I kind of just passively ask for forgiveness. I'm going to spend time in deep prayer and ask that God would forgive me and change my heart. So I recently heard a sermon at church, and our pastor, he preached on Psalm 22. And most people know about Psalm 23. It's one of the most famous chapters in the Bible. But Psalm 22, it's David, and he's basically crying out in agony. He's actually almost sounds like he's mad at God. He's like, God, why is this happening? And the sermon, the point that was, being proven was David had to go through Psalm 22 to get Psalm 23. And so what was he doing in Psalm 22? He was being honest. He was confessing where he's messed up. And so I feel like this is kind of my Psalm 22 moment. I've messed up and I want to change. And this is the start of me crying out to God that he would change my life for the better. And, I'm literally praying right now in the morning. I'm just saying, God, I've been a Christian my whole life. But I pray that you show me whether or not that's actually true. Maybe I'm not really a Christian. Maybe I haven't placed you, Lord, in my life. So I'm praying that he would show me that. I'm praying that as I read the word, it would be like this thing I've just never even heard before, that I could be just a brand new person who's never heard of who Jesus Christ is. And I'm actively praying this to God, that he would change my heart. And then specifically with porn, I want this out of my life. Every season of Victor I've had, it always started with true transparency, but I quit on the transparency. And so now I'm just, every day, my wife knows what I looked at. Other men will know what I looked at. And then by me sharing this in this video, it's crazy how common porn is, despite how insanely destructive it is. And I think a lot of people don't know how destructive it is, but it is. But I think deep down, a lot of people know that it's not a good thing. And I think a lot of people are starting to look online for resources that can help other people in this situation. And so, you know what? I don't care that this is embarrassing, because I know that it's going to help me by posting this video. Excuse me. But I also know that it could help you who's ever watching this. So I hope it does that for you. This is a long video. All right. I'm done with my failures. And I'm failing in a lot of areas. But, I'm just now thinking about this, but I feel like every good coach or teacher, really coaches, the best coaches I ever had were extremely hard. They would point out where you're messing up, but, and this is a big but, they would tell you what you've done really, really well. And they would almost use that to build up your confidence, to launch you into becoming a better player. And so I've obviously gone through some stuff that I know I'm failing at, but I want to do this in the most humble way possible. But I'm doing this to encourage myself, because you need to encourage yourself. I think Satan wants to attack you and make you feel like you're not worth anything. And I know that that isn't true. I know that I'm a child of God, and I know that I have failed, but I've also done okay in some areas. And so I'm going to go through this quickly. I hinted at this earlier, but my wife and I have quintuplets, and it has been very difficult, but it's been the most amazing thing that I've ever gotten to be a part of. Again, when I say I know God exists, how that was all orchestrated and how healthy our kids are and how healthy my wife is, I know that God is real, and his hand has been in my life, and I praise him for 5 beautiful, healthy children and a healthy wife, despite going through that. So anyways, what I am doing well, I think a lot of people would give up when they find out about quintuplets, or they would just say, life is going to be so difficult. But I actually think I've remained very positive in all of this. And I'm confident that I've done the best that I can do in raising these kids with the resources I have, to where they're healthy. I have a good relationship with them. I love them, and I know that they love me. and they feel safe and loved by me. And to do that when you've never been a parent before and immediately roll right into 5 is a difficult thing. And so I'm patting myself on my back a little bit there, and I'm confident that I'm doing okay there. But there is room for improvement. I know that, and I'm working on it. Next area I do think I'm doing okay in, while porn is an issue and it absolutely wrecks your relationship and it has many negative effects, I'm thankful though that my wife and I, we still get along. We don't see a lot of people these days because we're so busy taking care of 5 toddlers. So we're really the only other adult that we see. And luckily, we like to be around each other. We have a good time. We have our fair share of arguments, and it's probably more of me annoying her than it is her annoying me. But we get along. I thoroughly enjoy being around my wife, and I think she enjoys being around me too. And I have issues that I'm working on, but we still have a good relationship. And I'm thankful for that because we've been through a storm. And I'm proud. It's a righteous pride. I'm proud that we're doing okay. Next thing I would say is our financial situation is a mess, but I do think it could be worse. I just feel like we could be in total chaos, but I don't think we're there yet. And luckily we still have an income, and I've been able to really balance. I stay at home, I'm self-employed, so I've been able to make not a crazy income, but a good income to provide for my family, all while being able to stay home. So it's not taking care of 5 kids isn't fully on my wife's plate, but I'm able to help her out as well. I'm proud that I can earn a decent income while not working a 9 to 5, so I'm able to stay home with my wife and help her raise these kids. The last thing that I am proud of, but also subconsciously feel like I'm failing in, is this 5th wheel, and I'm going to show some clips here in a second. I basically gutted the entire thing. I gutted the entire thing. I've rebuilt everything from scratch to better suit living in a 5th wheel of 5 toddlers, which sounds crazy probably to most people, but we're excited. And I'm going to show some clips, but I'm really proud of what I've done so far. I'm not proud of how long it's taken. It has taken so long, but I'm almost done, and I'm proud of what's been done. So now that I am done with the failures and also the things that I'm proud of, I want to talk about my plan real quick, and I'm going to move through this quickly because this video is so long. But number 1, how do I plan to improve my faith? I've already talked about it, but confession, telling my wife on a regular basis what I've looked at, what I've done that day. And number 2, being rooted in the Word and praying that God would fill me with His Holy Spirit so that what I desire are not things of this world, but they are of things that honor God and glorify Him. Number 2, fitness. I'm starting to work out again. I started running, which is kind of my favorite thing in terms of how I work up a sweat. So yeah, that's as simple as I'm gonna put it. Is I'm working out again. I'm not sedentary, but I'm not ignoring my health for 7 months again. And I'm probably gonna eat some ice cream still because I love ice cream, but maybe not eat ice cream every single night of the week. So how am I gonna improve my focus? I've already discussed this, but I think I'm gonna get rid of my phone. I think there's a time and place for iPhones, but I think for me in my personal life, they do more harm than good. So I'm going to get rid of it, and I'm going to go back to a flip phone. Despite how our world does not operate with flip phones today, I'm going to make it work, and if it causes frustrations, I'm hoping that those frustrations aren't as big as the negative effects of an iPhone on my life. And then also with focus, I'm starting to get up really early in the morning. I'm trying to get up at 4:30, and I'm trying to read the Word right away, but right after that, I'm trying to get in 2 hours of deep work. So this is before kids are up. All distractions are turned off, and all I'm doing is deep work for 2 hours as soon as I get up in the morning. I'm hoping that doing the deep work and getting rid of the phone will really help me learn to focus again. So last but not least, how am I going to improve our finances? Put it as simply as possible. I'm going to Dave Ramsey this. I don't think credit cards are good for me. They do not provide peace in my life whatsoever. They provide anxiety. So they're gone. We're going to go back to cash and start paying down this debt as fast as possible. And I'll probably document that on this channel. Dave Ramsey gets a lot of hate, and everyone has an opinion about credit cards today, it seems like. But the man has stuck to his beliefs despite criticism, which I respect. And if you actually listen to him, he will explain, one of the number one reasons people get divorced today is finances. I think it's the number one reason. And he's on a mission to help people be in charge of their money so they have less stress, less anxiety. And I respect that a lot. And I followed his system before. That's how we saved up $50,000 and had no debt. And I don't know why we got off that system, because as soon as we did, our financial situation started to get a lot worse. And so I'm going to go back to that, and I'm bummed that we used to be doing so much better and we're bad again. But the good news is God's mercy is new every day, and I have a lot of life left, and change starts today with this video. So we'll go back to no credit cards. Number 2 with finances, I think I've already talked about it, but I think just getting rid of porn, your motivation goes up to work harder. Improving your health, you have more energy to work, and then reprioritizing your focus, having less distractions, it will certainly help out on the finances, the finance front, I would say. Oh, that's a long video. I don't know if anyone will ever watch this, or even if you do watch it, if you do watch it, make it to this point. But that is kind of how my mind works, and I'm doing this to improve my life, and hopefully it helps someone else out. So I'm just getting this all out there. I always tell my wife, I need a word vomit on you real quick. That's just how I process things. So this video is the start of the process to improve my life. And I think I'm failing in a lot of areas, but I know that there's hope. I know that it's never too late to start changing your life, and I'm getting rid of the excuses. I'm accepting responsibility, and I'm rebuilding my life and really my family's life for the better. And so I hope this video has been helpful. Subscribe if you want to keep up with my journey. And then last but not least, I'm going to give a tour of this fifth wheel. It's chaos, like my life is right now. There's stuff everywhere. But I do think you'll see a little bit of the vision. So I'm going to go ahead and do a fifth wheel tour and maybe show some clips of me working on it. And I think that's it for today. All right, so as I said before, this is a 43-foot fifth wheel. It's so big. I completely gutted it because we wanted to do some things like have a full-size oven, a full-size fridge, a dishwasher, wanted to put a bathtub in here. So with that said, let me show you the vision. Judge me if you need to. I get it. But here it is. This is the inside. Again, it's chaos. This is a new island. Here's a big residential size fridge, oven. I just took the door off. All these countertops, literally built from scratch, butcher block countertops. This is our dishwasher. It goes in there. Our table's going to go right here. When I first bought this fifth wheel, that whole back wall had water damage. So I literally tore it completely off, and I'll show you the other side. Here, I'll show you that real quick. Squeeze through here. Squeezing through. So there's the new back. Had to rebuild that completely. That was madness. Here's the work area. It's insane. Pray for me. We're going to get through this. Literally as I'm passing through. But let's continue the tour of the fifth wheel. In that back, my wife and I are going to have a pull-out couch. That's where we're going to sleep. There's actually some really nice ones. I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people. Built this island from scratch. I've already built all the cabinet doors, haven't installed them yet. Here's a sink. Hand-built drawers. Refrigerator. Now this thing is pretty cool. It's a pull-out pantry. Microwave and vacuum are going to go in there. This will be my office. We're going to put a dresser there. We're going up here. There's a little storage area. Built this bathroom vanity from scratch. Installed this bathtub and shower from scratch. There's my bathroom vanity that I'm working on, and this is the kids' room. Laundry is going to be in there. Kids' dresser right there. So, I think this fifth wheel is kind of the perfect comparison of how I feel about my life right now. Like, it's chaos. I feel like I'm failing in a lot of ways, but there are glimpses of things that I'm proud of. And yeah, I'm like kind of embarrassed by this thing, but at the same time, I'm proud of it. I still see the vision. I can see the future. I know it's going to be good. And I know that God has big plans. But I got to work hard, and I got to stop making excuses. So I hope you enjoyed the tour. But more importantly, I hope this video is helpful. And yeah, stay tuned. Bye-bye.